Hi, welcome to another tutorial. This is about trying to enhance an asset that you may obtain for free of a carousel. That I am showing you this example of a carousel that I obtained. Most of the time, when you get free assets, you may get a model like this, but without any material or whatever, and it looks pretty boring and it may be short of some items that you need to add on. All right, so what I'm showing you is converting this into something that a little bit much more nicer. Like in this example, this is the final results that I will show you how to achieve uh, from the bare model that you may have. All right, so let's start that. One of the things is that when you receive a carousel that you may obtain for free, especially, there may be a lot of things lagging, or even if you get one carousel that you purchase that you may want to enhance further. Let me show you what I'm trying to say here is that sometimes when you get a carousel like the one on the right hand side, I will be using the left hand side to demonstrate my tutorial. Uh, what is lagging in this example is that it doesn't have anything to write on, right? So in my demonstration, I'm assuming I'm going to put a horse into the carousel to ride on and surround the carousel with a fence, right? And in carousel, sometimes when you receive a carousel, you may not have this pole, or if you have it, it may not be in a way that you can animate later on easily. So I will provide a pole here in case that you want to use a pole that you can easily animate, or if the pole that provided in a carousel itself can be animated, that would be great. All right. Anyway, this will be part of the tutorial file that what you see here. Next, okay, I this is the original. I'm not going to change that, so I'm going to just hide it and go into my tutorial. So, so this file, this example doesn't have anything to write on. So what I will be showing you is to put a horse there, all right? So if you were to create a horse or make a nice horse, let's see how that can be achieved. I'm going to open up another file that have a horse. I'm going to show you two ways of getting a horse on the carousel and how you can create them. The first one is basically if you have obtained a horse, a free horse again, maybe. It may not look exactly the way you like it in terms of the way the design of the horse. However, to, s- to, to speed up your enhancing of your horse, uh, okay, ignore the pole for now. Just focus on the horse. I have on the left hand side some demonstration using the same horse that I just showed you. You can try to enhance it into the one on the left. That I have three examples here. This is called basically using a UV mapping to obtain. So you can always Google and find nice horses that you like and try to map this physical 3D model horse into the picture that you see on the screen. So this is just simply UV mapping and the trouble is that the horse pose position, the posing of the horse that you obtain may not map to the pose that you obtain from the picture from the Google site. In this example, I have three posing of nice carousel horses, and and here I'm just trying to show you that because of the posts are not the same, it is not easy to map your horse to be exactly the picture, but it can be quite close to it. All right. As num one to go into orthographic view, press U and project. So now you have this projection on the left hand side. Um, if you want to use this particular picture, you have to first open up your file, right? So assuming this is the one that you wanted, and again, let me project one more time. Okay, so that's the horse. So selecting all the vertices of the horse on the image map on the left, you can press S and then try to expand it and try to map it as best as you can. Now you can see that it is not mapping very well, right? Not exactly. So the trick now is to see if you can try to map it as best as you can. So quick check how it looks like. So you can see the mapping of the horse eye looks a bit out of proportion. So that part you may want to do again. So doing a tab, edit, and move the horse head, select the horse head, and maybe rotate a little bit to match with the horse position here. Rotate more. Yeah, I think this way, especially on the eye part. I think that looks a bit better. And also on the horsehair, I think you need to move up a little bit to get a horsehair mapping. Okay, do a check again. So this is a quick demonstration of using UE mapping of a horse onto an existing picture that you can get from many sites of your choice, all right? So I'm not going to do the other two horses. It's basically using the same method that I just demonstrated. Focus on the hoof part because it's black color and you need to have, to show the hoof. And the rest of the body, do it as best as you can. So this is the result that I can achieve for a horse, right? Now the second method of doing it is trying to make the horse pose exactly the same as the picture, if you like. So I'm going to show you that now. So I'm going to close this off and don't save this. So now I'm opening up another file that is using a rigging method. If you have gone through my tutorial, the last tutorial on the OS, I already show you how you can actually rig a horse, right? So in this example, I have a horse. This is a war horse because you have two components. You have the horse part and the gear part. The gear, if I were to hide the gear, this is a horse and it has a gear. The horse has a image provided as part of the uh, model that I obtained, and the gear has another image. All right. So this is the original model that I obtained, which again will you will get you well you can get it from my previous tutorial that have a similar setup. Um, so now I'm going to show you the rig horse. If you remember the last tutorial where I was trying to animate a walk cycle of a horse, I have this walk cycle diagram on the left, and then I show you how I could actually rig a horse, right? And develop and create this rig from Blender. So now our focus would be that I assume you will follow that tutorial and create a rig, and then with the rig, you select the rig, which is this orange color here. You can see. Go into pose mode. I can then pose the horse in the way I like it to be, right? Uh, Either moving the horse up and down, flexing the tail if you like a little bit. or moving the leg up and down and so on. All right. So that's the rig of a horse. So now, if you want to use this horse and make it like a carousel wooden horse, again, you can do it by perhaps selecting one of the picture that you want to post. So here, what I'm trying to show you is that using this rig, I try to pose it in a way that looks like this horse, right? Uh, for example, moving the head up a little bit more like that horse, right? So this horse here, the one, no, I'll go back to object mode. This horse here is already done. Using the rig, I pose this horse to be as close as possible to the horse that I can see on the picture. This is as close as I could pose, all right? Um, and also, I found that it has a pretty good, nice saddle on this original horse I have, so I don't quite like the saddle of this picture horse, so I continue to use this saddle, except that in this saddle they have many other components like the head gear, the leg gear, and so all that. All I did is select them and remove all that part and just retaining the center part of the gear that I will stay with the horse. All right, so the gear and the horse is what I felt was the most nice looking rider horse that I will use for the carnival. The other thing I did is that I painted the horse to look more like this horse color. Remember in my previous tutorial, you can actually change the color of your images so that horse color would change using Gym, for example. It's pretty easy by using color mapping and change the color of the horse. But no matter what you do in terms of mapping, you still need to do a bit of painting. Painting is because a wooden horse are not as realistic. It doesn't have hair shown, all right. So unlike the real horse, it does have a lot of shades around the skin, while in the wooden horse it is just plain color, right? So if you want to make your horse look more like a wooden horse, in this case, you have to go into Gym, select, uh, open up these images. Like here, what I did is that if you look at the original horse on the right, what I did was that I do a mapping to a white color, which is on the left, and then do a bit of painting to get rid of all these other shades to make it looks more like a wooden painted horse color that goes with the saddle. So I did that for the horse, and I also did it for the saddle, which you can see I painted in red and kind of golden yellow, which result in this particular horse. So when you do a rig and you want it to be, if you like the pose, you have to apply it. Basically, normally you select the rig, you do Control A, and then you apply all transformation. That way, you will have a solid 3D model of a horse that you can now use for the carousel. Now, if you think you doesn't like the images of this original horse, but because now you have already posted, again, you can go back to the first method to do a UV mapping, which I done it here as an example. So in this example, I use the same horse that I have already posed and rigged and applied. I then try the UV mapping. In this case, I do not want this gear because it's very hard to map separately with this gear I found. Even though even if I join with the horse and try to do UV mapping, I find it harder to map it to closely resemble this horse on the left. So all I did was just carry up that gear and just retain the horse. the horse, duplicate it, and then do a UV mapping using the picture here. Again, just to quickly remind you, UV mapping is simply selecting UV editing. Uh, this particular horse image, you can flip it horizontally. Yeah, this looks more like it. So that's getting a horse rider ready for your carnival, sorry, carousel, right? All right, I'm going to stop here and go into the carousel. All right, so now we have a horse that you can always create. I mean, it can be any animal as well. It can be elephant or giraffe or whatever. But Blender does provide rigging of horses and some animals much more easily. Um, the other thing I want to also provide to you and talk about later on is the fence, which I will show you how to put a fence around a carousel. And I provide a pole, as I said earlier on, in case you get a carousel, you have no poles, or your pole that you receive is all one solid mess and it's very hard to animate. So you can use my pole here. So that uh, uh, ready for your actual enhancement and animation. Okay, to start with, I would like to show you how I enhance on the rooftop. In this example, the rooftop I receive, if I tap in the tap mode, is a pretty tense mesh. And normally when I do this kind of tutorial, when we try to enhance on something, I will isolate out the components that are already available and hide the rest of them so that I can focus on that particular object and enhance on it. So in this case, I would like to hide the rest of the other objects. So to do that, firstly, I can I can select this hide, not hide, but move this object into another folder that I hide. I repeat again, I have another folder I set up basically to hide object first, and then the rest of the other objects, select them and press H to hide them as well. All right, and then you open up the folder that you just hidden earlier on, so that way you can see only the roof top. So this is just a temporary place to put something that you want to isolate out. Tab again, click outside. Now I think I did not switch on the screencasting. I'm sorry, always forgetting that. Okay. So now you can see, I repeat again, all I did was just press a tab to go into edit mode. All right. If you have selected all, just click anywhere else to unselect them. So it happens that in this case, there's a point here that sort of point to the rest of the model, and I can press the control key and click onto one of the points. Oops, I should be in the period mode. All right, let me do again. I should use a period vertex, and then yeah, that's what I want to show you. There's a quick way to select uh, a, a row of vertices. Here I'm trying to partition the rooftop so that I can do some coloring that will have a nice pattern. So I have done this already. So I think on the interval of every seven, but just do 4, 6, 7, I will have another one here. And then click to the top, do 4, 6, 7. Okay. This is kind of selected. Now you go into this object data property and assign it into a group, right? Assign that. So now you can see this is what I'm trying to attempt to do. In fact, I can show you what I was my target result is on the top is what I have done earlier on. I'm trying to create this pattern, all right, to make the rooftop a little bit nicer. So this is how I do it. So after done this step, I assign it into a group so that I can remember this set of vertices that selected. But to expand on the line, I can go to select and then do a control number plus. So control plus, you can see that control plus or control minus to reduce it. So that way I can set a pattern, that looks pretty nice here. If you're happy with this, you can always create another group and assign to it. The purpose why I want to do that is so that I have a choice to go back to the previous selection and also the new selection. All right. After having done that, I can assign material, maybe gold color, and assign to it. So if I tap out, this is the gold color. Now the black color maybe not what I want. So how do I do that? I go back into my edit mode, still there, right? I can go to select and press invert. Invert will select the other vertices that wasn't selected. And if you this is a quick way to make or enhance a rooftop. So now let me go into alternate H to open up the other part of the carousel. So doing the rooftop. The other thing that I may want to enhance is that in this particular carousel, it have a very nice set of mirror. Although you have no material now, but you can do it like here, example. This is one object. If I click G, this is one mirror, and this is another mirror. In fact, they are all individual mirror. Um, so what I did was that I put pictures into each of the mirrors as a portrait. So to do that, uh, all you have to do is select the object and find out. Normally, most of the model you can obtain, you can find out if there is any existing material already assigned to it. In this example, it happened to be this particular material called the 08 V-Ray material. You see that it is already set up by this in this model for this particular set of faces for the portrait. So all I have to do now is actually by selecting this, I can click shading, press period so that I can focus back to where I was looking at. Okay, uh, so I mean I can assign a nice image just to demonstrate. Uh, Point image. Uh, okay, my images, depending where your pictures, I have a lot of animation pictures like this, for example. All right. So assigning a material, but you still need to do a UV editing to make sure that you're mapping to the right places. So in my case, I have this model, but I wanted to use the one that I had in this picture called Anime. I think I selected this to Luca, right? All right. So putting my cursor back into the UV editing, press dot so that I'm positioning back to where I was and then rotate it. All right, this is where I want to do mapping editing mode. So I press U, project from view, and And on the left hand side, expand the thing to cover the whole face. So you can see now I have put the face of Luca onto this portrait. So now we have a face of Luca. I already done one also here on the left. Um, so now a quick way perhaps is to copy the material to the other mirror. For example, if I want this mirror to have a similar setup, I can select this mirror, then select the one that I just completed. Uh, sorry, select this, press Shift key, click again, Control L, link material. So this way now, this particular object have a similar setup as this. So over here, number 8, if I go into shading mode, you see that I have looker, but I have not done a mapping. And of course, I don't want looker again. I should have something else, maybe Mako, and do a click UV editing. Uh, I click outside to unselect, and then because I already know this particular material will select that center image. I just click select. This select the particular faces of this object, and then press a U, project from view, and then expand on it. Now, oops, I have not selected the correct picture that I wanted. I think I want Mako. Yes, and I can just press G to move it, S to expand on it. Uh, Maybe I should expand on the y-axis, SY. I think this looks better. So you can see now we have Mako on the screen. The problem now is that the other picture that I had earlier on also the same is because I forgot to duplicate the material. So in other words, I cannot have the same material for both portrait. I have to duplicate it. So I can go back to my old object that I had done earlier on and duplicate it. Go into shading and assign lookup. Yeah, lookup. So now I'm back in good shape. So Luca is one material and Mako is another material. So I have these ladies showing on the screen. All right, so that would be how you could add portrait pictures to each of them. I'm not going to do it in this tutorial, but the technique is the same. All right, you can just repeat doing the step for the other pictures. It's the same also for this small picture. Maybe I'll just do one for the smaller portrait. And I think it is also this material. Oh no, this is different. This is a different object. I think the material setup for the portrait is the first one. Yeah. So you have to try and find out which material have already set up. Otherwise, you have to manually select the faces for the portrait that you want to put on. All right. So in this example, the slot one is the one uh, that define the faces of the portrait center. All right. You can select that in shading mode as usual. Add in image. All right. And maybe this time you on this smaller uh, screen, you may want to select something different, like maybe I don't know a bird. All right. Go to UV editing. Sorry, UV editing. Open up and select the bird that I've selected earlier on. All right. And press, looking at it, press U, project from view. And over here, expand and show the bird. Maybe just want to show one, but SY. Okay. So now you have a bird. And this is just an example on how you can put pictures into all the frame that already set up in this particular carousel. Okay, next, what we'll do is to take a look at maybe other parts of the pictures that you can enhance on. I mean, the model that you can enhance on. Uh, if I look at it, they have another structure that kind of like a frame. Yeah, this is a frame edges around the top part of the carousel. I think it's a good place for us to maybe light it up with some color or emission. So selected that, and I noticed there is no material assigned in this particular model for this part. So I can select maybe one of the existing material I have. Okay, this is a emission setup that is, it says pink, but it's in yellow actually. So maybe I should change it to pink. Uh, okay, and the base color should be pink as well, so that you can get that kind of a effect. If you want it to be brighter, maybe put 5 or higher, 10. So at least in a dark environment, you can see it. I'm going to render modes to see the emission effect. All right, so that lights up the edges. The other part would be all the wooden frame. Now I have not painted this one because I think I'll just leave it in the natural color. But the back panel, which is this part here, I think maybe good to put it into another material. Uh, Let me see what kind of material do I have already set up. Maybe, yeah, I think this orange color might be good. Now, I'm not going to create new material for this tutorial. You can always create one on your own, but I'm just going to try and use whatever I already have set up in this particular file. All right, demonstrating that. Set up the glass material, that that panel just now, and this panel. Control L and then link. Oh yeah, I think that would be a faster way. Otherwise, I trust that you may have your own material for mirror. All right, so this is a mirror material. So, so I guess you can enhance the rest very quickly as well. I'm going back to the viewport row. Okay, so I have so-called inner floor, outer floor, and then the ground. All right, I call it. So what I will do is I want to put a fence around the ground. So how do I do that? I will duplicate this fence first of all, Shift D, and I want to put the fence in the center of this carousel. All right, so I select one of the object in the center, which I can see there is an origin, the dot in the center of the carousel, right? So I think it's good to position a circle and then the fence there. A circle is for me to create an array around the ground. So let me maybe first Shift S cursor to select it. All right, so I have a cursor position in the center of the carousel. I will add a Bezier curve, Bezier circle, right? And S again to make it, yeah, just around there. All right. So that will be where I will put my fence around it. So to make that works, okay, you can see I have a Bezier circle here. I want to move it into tutorial file because I'm going to use a tutorial file for that. So this circle, I will rename it fence curve. So I know that I will be using that to create my fence surrounding the carousel. Um, the fence, early on I have the original fence. I duplicated the fence. You can see on the right hand side on the outline. So this is a duplicated one. I should position it into the center where I just put the Bezier curve. So I do Shift S, selection the cursor. So my fence is now in the center of the carousel. So remove them and just show you how I do it. Add a account. All right, maybe one. Okay, two. Maybe. Oops, it should be one part. Should be next to each other and increase the fill. All right. So that's the count that you need to be set up, and then you need to add in the curve. The curve will be pointing at the fence curve that we created earlier on. Okay, you can see that. So now we switch on back the carousel. You can see the fence is now kind of surrounding the carousel, but it's not enough. So you need to increase the count to make it and leave a small gap. That should be the gate to enter into this carousel. Now, if you want to have two gate, and normally most carousel they have two gate, right? Then you should have two fences, right? Maybe this one I have 34, right? Maybe half of that, or not half, 15, 17. All right, 17, and then I duplicate again the fence. And this time I'm going to go to item and move that fence around. Oh yes, now I can do it. Uh, Oops, sorry, I'm doing manually. I didn't take down the measurement, but roughly you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm creating two semicircle. This way, I will have two two entrance, one on the this side, and then you can see there's another entrance over this side. All right. So I have half a fence on the left, half a fence on the right, and therefore two gates to enter into the carousel. So this is a quick way to you know create two entry point to an enclosed area. I'm going to move both fans inside the tutorial file now. So that's the fence. Okay, now the interesting part is how to animate the carousel. There are two methods I will show you on how to animate the carousel. One is obviously to make use of the existing whatever is already set up. In this example, this particular carousel already have a set of posts already set up like a real carousel, right? And I noticed that they are all linked to an MT, which can kind of rotate it. I'm going to the outline, press period. I just want to repeat. I don't know this is Spanish or French, but anyway, I think these are the poles, and there are about 12 poles altogether. Six outside in the outer ring, they call it, a little bit on the outside, and then six a little bit inside. And they're all parented to this particular empty called Bastion 13. All right. So I suppose if I would just to rotate the the empty, you can see you can turn already is set up nicely for you. So that kind of one way that instead of trying to create your own empty and everything, this model already have it. So all you do now is to attach a horse to the pole and animate the pole to go up and down, and then animate the empty to go round and round and round. All right. So how do I make the pole go up and down? Um, First, I'll select one pole, and what I will do here is that I will first go into frame one. If you have not pressed this button, you go to frame one. You can see that. And go into item. You only want to go up and down, so you should be using location Z. All right. So in this case, you just point to this and insert single keyframe. So you can see in yellow, I have inserted a single keyframe. You can also see a yellow diamond below here. So that will allow me to animate this pole. And instead of doing it manually, I'm going to use some modifier from. So here at this point, what I'll do is that I'll go into the animation workspace where I have a graph editor. All right, and normally you have to press N to open up a set of menu on the right hand side. You have F curve, modifier, and view. I'm going to use a modifier, and I'm going to use a built-in function, and there's a function called sinusoidal, right? So I move the cursor into the screen, press period, so that I am positioned back to this pole. Uh, Notice the pole already went up because it's already animating, it's trying to animate. All right. The value that you should set up based on my previous testing is that the amplitude should be about 500, and phase multiple should be zero point 0.1, and you can scroll middle mouse scroll to see the whole sinusoidal animation function. And if I press play, okay, so that is moving up and down. Every alternate pole, you want it to go on the opposite direction, upside and downside. So, but instead of creating again, I will just copy. This is the outer pole, and this is the inner pole. Don't know whether you can see the difference, right? One's outside, one's inside. So I'm going to copy, select the inner pole, and then select the outer pole that we have just animated. Control L and link animation. So if I were to do a play, both the inner and outer pole are moving in the same direction. The controller, I'm moving the controller down. It should touch the floor to be more realistic. All right, so let me play one more time. Okay, now it's good. Now the pole is touching the ground and before going upwards, right? So both poles are going in, but I want it to be out of sync in the sense that this pole when it's down, this pole should be up. So, but because I copy the animation data from the inner pole to the from the outer pole to the inner pole, so the inner pole now what I do is that I can use the phase offset to change the sequence. Uh, I can't do that. You know why? Because I'm using the same action. So what I should do is that I selected the inner pole. I should duplicate the action so that it's a separate action. And if I were to modify the face early on, I should go this back to 0. And this one, I will want it to go up a little bit higher. Okay, so if I do a play again, you can see now both pole are going in different direction at different time, right? I repeat again. If I go back to frame 1, this guy face offset is 0, and this guy, which is the inner pole, is 2.4, basically. All right. And there's a reason why they are not in sync, all right, because of the phase is different. Phase offset is different, all right. Okay, now with that done, and assuming we want all the inner pole to go in one direction and outer pole go in one direction, I can just select all the outer pole. The animator will be the last one, and Control L and link animation. And if I play again, okay, all the outer pole are going in one direction. Okay, stop that. Now I select all the inner pole. The one that is already animated is this one here. You can see there's a graph here. So what I'll do is I select all the inner pole. So if I were to play this time, you can see that all the inner pole is going in one direction and the outer pole is going in another direction. So that's basically animating up and down. And if I want to animate the turning, I select the bastion. I think that was this one here, bastion 13. What I did was I just select one pole and then press a period to go here and then trace upward to know that this is a parent. So this is a parent. I should animate the parent to turn round and round. So I go to frame 1, go back to layout, uh, and we're going to animate the rotation, right? So go into rotation Z, insert single keyframe, and I'm using 6,000 frames, so I go to the last frame, press one arrow. It's always one frame after the last frame for normal animation. And I think the number I can use, let me see, I think I tested was minus 6,480. Can't remember how many rounds there. It's usually you can use 360 times, 10 times or 20 times, to make it roll. So I have to insert a single keyframe here. And if I go from beginning and go around, okay, now we have a merry-go-round. We have all this frame going up and down. It still look a bit strange because I noticed in the real world the pole, I don't know whether it should be coming out so high up. So what I will probably do is that I will move the carousel up a little bit more. No, sorry, I'll move the bastion a little bit down, G, Z, a little bit more down, and I play again. Yeah, I think that looks more like the real thing. Okay, so with that done, the next thing is very easy. Just put the horse and attach to the pole. So each of the pole, at the moment, you can see the origin is at the bottom. It's okay. I think we'll just follow that, and we can do Shift S cursor selected so that I will put the horse right at the origin, right? So the horse is here. I Shift D to duplicate a horse, and then Shift S selection to cursor. So now I have a horse. Select horse GX. Yeah, it should be there somewhere. And then with the horse selected, you can select that pole and Control P and tick that as a whole. You can either make the pole as a parent, or you can join it as one single object. All right, you can do either way. So I'll put it as a parent for now. Okay, if I run again, the horse should follow. All right, so now we have a horse going round and round. So this is three horses up and down. Okay, I think this is the first method of trying to put horses into a pole and animate the pole so that looks like animal. The only problem with this method is that you are trying to use the existing set of poles, and the number of horses and all that set up according to this carnival uh, model. However, if you want a bit of more flexibility, there's another method to do it in a better way, that you can put more horses, and maybe instead of two rings of horses, you can put three or four rings of horses. And of course, the horse can be replaced by anything else other than the horse, right? An elephant or ostrich, and so on. So now I'm going to show you the second way, the method two, I would call it, that you can create a carnival. I will now show you what I try to achieve. I already done this already. So this is another way. This is where I'm going to just run through very quickly that essentially all you do is that you create as many rings as you want. Each ring will have horses that you wanted, right? So in this example, I wanted to have three rings of horses, all right? So I created three rings. So I create first Bezier circle, and then duplicate it and expand it to the second one, and then Shift D again, and then press S to expand it again to the third ring, right? So that creates three circles very quickly. Maybe I can do a quick demo here. Shift D, G. Okay, this three ring should not be inside here because I was just trying to demonstrate. I'll move it outside first. Right, in each of the circle, all you need is a circle, like in this case, this circle, or this circle for this actual case. And then you have the horse. In each of the horses, just like the fence, you have an array. I have three horses, but the reason why I have three horses and then have another horse again in the same collection with the same is that each of the horses, 1 and 01, 002, they both have three horses each. And what I was trying to do is that I wanted the horse inside the ring to have one up and one down and one up, one down within the same ring. So that's why I have two horses, and they're basically the same array modifier, same curve because they're all pointing to the same circle to line up. The only difference is that if you look at the item, you have to adjust the x-axis 785 and this one 817. This is to position the horse so that they are not in the same position, right? So that they're in the alternate position. So maybe again, with that said, let's do a quick demonstrations. I will circle, shift S cursor to the center, right? Select this horse. This is the third horse I created. I'm gonna close it off. Okay, this one I want to do. I just copy one of the existing horse in the ring to this new place. I switch off the modifier so that there's no modifier applied to this horse, right? And the only difference now is that instead of pointing to this circle, I want it to point to this circle for this horse so that it go around this circle. So I should be replacing this ring to this ring. Okay, so if I switch on this modifier, you now have the horse going around this ring. And if I were to duplicate this horse, Shift D, and press adjust the X position, you now have the two horses in the same ring. Next is that this horse, I think the animation data already set up. So maybe, okay, let's do a play. They're not turning for now, all right? I just want to show you that how to make it alternate. So in this example, both horses are going at the same up and down sequence. So I wanted the horse to go in alternate. So what I do is I select the second horse, just like what I did earlier on. I go to animation, I duplicate the horse action, uh, press period to go there. All right. So now this second set of horses has a different action, and what I would do is that I will change the what I call it, the face. Maybe I change it to 0. Let's see what's that. Okay. If I were to play it, now you can see that these horses are going at different faces. I think this is how a carousel normally behave in terms of animation. All right. And you can repeat doing the same thing for the second ring and third ring, and you will get the same result that I have here. You can see now all the horses have alternate going up and down. All right. Okay, because you are now using array and you cannot make it turn unless you apply it to be permanent objects. So now in this case, I will add an empty to control the turning. So I can add an empty sphere at the center there. Okay, I make these horses. These are these two horses. Let me move them all out to another collection so that it won't be confusing. This test carousel test horse. Okay, so this is a test horse, right? So I have the empty. I will make these two horse set parent to the empty. Control P transform. If I would try to turn the empty by animating it, let's say I try to rotate it, it won't work. You see, it go funny, right? So the way to do it is that you go to the horses, you just apply the modifier. I mean, okay. Now with that said, if I would have turn the empty, if I select the empty again and then put RZ, you can see I can turn the horse now. So by inserting, let's say, a keyframe to the empty at rotation 0, insert single keyframe, and then go to the end frame, press one arrow key, one frame up, uh, 6,000, how many? Okay, 6,400, let's say. It's 80. Insert another keyframe here. So if I go to the beginning, you can see now these horses are turning and they are going up and down. So with the same principle, you can do it for the second ring and third ring, and each one have its own empty. But before you animate the empty to turn round, remember that you always apply the modifier so that the horse are standing on its own, not, and then you know you can make the horse go round and round. So this is the second method of adding a horse animation, or you can add any other things other than horse, maybe a deer, a zebra, whatever. But it's the same way of doing it. So that is essentially how you animate a carousel. So I open up the final version again, like I said. So that's how it looks like after you have done all that. I hope this helps you to create your own carousel and make it as big as you want it to be and as beautiful as you want it to be. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching.